Sorry about the little delay. I've had a few technical issues, but it's amazing to be here on day three. I've seen some very courageous people. Thank you so much, Christy, for putting a picture up of your morning routine and for your little testimonial to talk about, how good was to start your day with a walk on spot, getting your heart rate up, moving and starting with more energy. Exercise is so crucial to start our days. For me, it's not so much about, like the weight and how your body looks, it's about the feeling. Since I have developed this morning routine, and today we're going to really talk about this, the way I start my day it is a game changer. It has changed everything in my life. And it's starting our days with movement. If people just think that exercise needs to be like a 45 minutes run, it can't be a walk, or it can't, I have to, or, do weights, I have to do this or that or the other. You just, a 10 minutes walk on spot. By the way, somebody sent me a message and said, what it is a walk on spot? This is a walk on spot. You're just literally walking and you're moving your arms as if you're walking, but you're not going anywhere. And you can walk fast or you can walk slow at your pace. And the beautiful thing about this is that you can do it on your pajamas, like in actual fact, today I exercise on my pajamas, but today I did weights. But it doesn't really matter. The most important thing is getting it done. It's raining terribly here today, and it's been a very, very wet summer. So if I was doing my exercise only outside, I would be stuck because it's been raining almost every day. So doing, the work at home, doing this walk on spot is so powerful. And guys, I just want to tell you, this is where I started. I started with a walk during chemotherapy, right? I would drag myself for a walk for 10 minutes, on my worst days. And, sometimes I would walk faster, sometimes I would walk slow. And that's where I started. And I know for sure that I am here today because I was courageous enough, I was brave enough to get myself out of bed during chemotherapy to do those 10 minutes walk. We need to start where we are at with the resources that we have. Like some people, they might not have a gym close by. Some people might not have time because they have a family, and kids and things to look after. So a 10 minutes walk on spot is going to make a world of difference. Trust the process, because like I said, I am here today because I started that. I have seen my clients doing that after not exercising for years. It's starting for walk on spot, and all of a sudden they're telling me, Angelica, I had a lady who she did my challenge, I think in December as well, started working together. She was needed to introduce exercise, due to mostly, due to her anxiety. It was more than mental state, but she needed to lose a lot of weight as well. But, it was mostly for her mental state. And, she only started with the 10 minutes walk. And all of a sudden she said, Angelica, I'm getting out in my lunchtime and I'm going for a half an hour walk. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like if you start and it's what we talked about, getting the momentum going, all before you are adding to these new habits that you're creating a much bigger ripple effect. Now, guys, if you are live, I would love for you to put a hand up or just to tell me that you can hear me and you can see me well. But I just want to do a quick recap as well. And before I do a quick recap, I just want to say, I know, thank you so much for everybody that also commented on the gratitude, on the, Juan put up a picture of his breakfast. Guys, this is why I do those challenges, because I know that in 5 days, if you take action, there's a lot of people that, haven't had the time and haven't had the chance. Life is always going to be busy for you. Life is always going to get in the way for you to put yourself first. But it's up to you to make a decision. Am I enough to set half an hour aside for myself every day? Because if you wait for life to stop, if you wait for life to be calm, if you wait for your kids to, grow up, if you wait for your kids to stop being difficult, if you wait for your, puppy stop being difficult, to work on yourself and to work on your health and to work on your mental state, when you're not working on something, you'd have a tendency, it's like a gravity, to pull you back to your old habits, to ground yourself in your old patterns, in your old ways. If I stop exercising now and if I start eating crap and if I just stop looking after myself, I am pretty confident very quickly I'm going to go back to being the old version of myself, which was somebody who was angry, exhausted, stressed, somebody who was always thinking negatively about everything, reacting to things, without thinking about it, unconsciously. I would go back to that person 100%. But I don't go back to that person because I still practice all the habits that I have been practicing for 4 years up to this date. And I get better and better each day, because now it's this massive compounding effect. And today we're going to be talking about something that people always talk about, that they struggle with, and they think that is almost like a defining factor of why they are not living the life that they want, or why they don't have the body that they want, and why they don't have the mental state that they want, and why they have the issues that they have physically, mentally. And it's about building discipline. People think that they either have it or not. They are either one person, I'm either a person that likes exercise or not, or I'm like a person that likes healthy food or not. I am either a disciplined person, with my business or not. And you look at all these people outside of you that are building and conquering things that you haven't done yet, as they were born like that. They've got it all. They are lucky because they were born like this, and they can do it because they already have in them. But you don't realize that they don't have it all. They were not born like that. In actual fact, when you think about a baby is just born like empty, and he starts learning, with the touch, with the vision, with the taste, with the words afterwards, and everything that we experience, we start learning. And we think that after you're a kid you stop learning, or like you can learn it, for example, a different skill, but you can't learn different habits and ways of thinking, because you're so ingrained. It's this gravitational pull of being stuck in the person that you are. And when I look back at myself, I feel I was a person that was very interested in holding on to my need to be right. And because I was very interested in holding on to my need of being right, I was stuck, and I was unhappy, and I was frustrated, and I didn't want to ask for help because I thought I knew it all. And in doing that, I, kept practicing those patterns and habits that didn't benefit me, and they were getting me sicker and sicker and sicker, until I was diagnosed with stage 3 back cancer. And I didn't realize, obviously, after having this massive wake up call, that in actual fact, I could create a different body, I could create a different mind, and I could create a different soul. That was my ultimate goal during chemotherapy. The doctors told me, like, hey, Angelica, like, just do what you can, because you're going to be really sick, and, you're not going to be able to do a lot, and you're going to, feel very tired, just do what you can. And I thought, I'm not going to be that person. I am going to create a different body while going through chemo. And I did. I am going to create a different mindset while going through chemotherapy. And I did. Guys, this is no joke. And all I did was to change my habits. Many of you might not know, but I had 12 sessions of chemo. In every session, people get worse and worse and worse. And most people can't finish chemotherapy because the toxicity gets so high in your body that your body says no more. And although I had lots of issues during chemo, my cells, white cells or red cells or platelets wouldn't go up, and you can't actually receive chemo and you have to have a delay. I was able not only to finish chemo, but 2 weeks later, I was cycling, I was doing whatever, I was running, I was doing whatever I wanted, and I was getting ready for a partial hysterectomy that I had 2 months later, which I jumped out of bed after that surgery. So if you think to yourself, I have always been overweight, I'm exhausted, I have kids, of course I'm tired, I have a job, and it's too much for me, I'm getting old, this is normal. All of those thoughts and beliefs, they can be changed if you want to. Because I was accepting old age. I was accepting, oh, my body's getting old. Oh, my body doesn't function anymore like it was before. Oh, I'm getting tired because I don't have any, enough energy like I used to. I was accepting all of that until I had cancer. And I thought, wait a second. Is this how I want to live for the rest of my life? Do I want to drag myself to the hospital every day, to the doctors, being dependent on pills and medication? Because I was for 7.5 months. I used to go to the hospital every week. I was heavily depending on medication. And to be honest, even that first year, I went to the doctor quite a lot because, I was still trying to balance my bloods, and, I was changing, I went completely to a plant-based diet. Things were still like coming back to balance, and I was healing from all the toxicity that I had put it in my body. But I changed everything in my life. And when I say everything, I'm talking about habits. I'm talking about, building my house brick by brick. That's all I did. And I started with my physical habits because I strongly believe that a weak body cannot tackle anything. If your body's weak, you're probably overwhelmed, stressed. Inside your head, all the thoughts are controlling you because you haven't got the strength to get on top of your thoughts. You are probably unfulfilled. You're going to a job that you hate, but you can't change it because you're exhausted. You get home and you haven't got any energy to think about what else can you do. Or when your body is strong, you can start to becoming aware of your thoughts. When a thought comes in, like, I'm not enough, you can answer to that thought because you've got the energy to do it. When you don't have any energy to do things, to really manage that inner voice, it becomes very, very difficult for you to build mental clarity, mental focus, and mental strength. So I started with my physical health. And today I'm going to take you step by step on how I build discipline around there, because many of you have answered questions like, I am exhausted. I don't have any energy. I want to be emotionally more balanced. I want to, have my business, focus on my business. I can't focus. I want to lose weight. All of that, it's those building blocks here. If you don't have a strong base here, which is your physical body, it's going to be very difficult for you to build a house on top of a solid foundation. And that's unfortunately what most people do these days. They want to create a business, but they are already exhausted and burnt out. They want to, change their negative thinking, but, they're eating sugar, drinking coffee and alcohol every single day, and they don't exercise. They want to change, their relationships, but they, inside themselves, they feel unhappy. They feel they are not enough. They can't get on top of their negative thinking. And how can they change something outside of them if inside of them they're feeling like that? So if you change things outside of you, if you want to change things outside of you, you need to start with you. The ripple effect of all my changes in my family, in the relationships with my kids. My kids were 6 and 4 at the time. I had been married for 15 years. I'm married now for like 18 years, something like that. We were happy before, but now we are like 1,000 times happier because I change and I focus on myself. And as a result of that, I became a stronger being. And there was this massive ripple effect in the relationships with my husband, my kids, and we are much happier as a family now. And all I did was to change my habits, and I started with my physical habits. And today I'm going to take you exactly step by step on what I did to change my morning routine. Okay. So during chemotherapy, I started doing exercise. So I was at home by myself when the kids were at school from 9 to 3:30. And I would do exercise when I could, right? Some days they would go to school and I was still lay in bed for a bit, and then I would do my exercise after. And I would just drag myself to exercise, drag myself to eat healthily, and drag myself to do a meditation and things like that. But I just want to focus on the morning routine. So during 7.5 months, on my worst days, I will go for a walk. On my best days, I will jump on my bike, which was at home on top of a wind trainer, and I would just go for it. I would do yoga. I would do bands, which was my strength exercise. I couldn't do a lot of it because I had a PICC line, a line that went through my arm all the way that sat on top of my heart. So, this was an open wound. So, the line couldn't move. So I had to be careful. But I would just go for it. So I had 2 weeks in between each chemo, and I would start with like a 10 minutes walk on my worst days, and another 15 minutes walk, then a faster walk. Then I would do, always do a 5 minutes yoga every day, and I would just compound. And by the time the 2 weeks was finished, I was just going for it. Okay. So I did this for 7.5 months. By the time I finished chemo, exercising was already ingrained in me. This is what I did. I wasn't going to go back to not doing any exercise. Then I had to get ready for my partial hysterectomy, and I knew that I needed to get my core very strong, because one more time they were going to open my belly. It was a key surgery, but I had 2 C-sections, I had an ectopic pregnancy, I had my bowel resection, I had a lot of surgeries in my core, in my belly, and I didn't do any exercise from when I had my kids. So it was like 6 years without doing any core exercise. So my core was, although I had been doing a lot of exercise, I needed to strengthen my core. So I started running. In this 2 months that I had, it was my chemo finished like mid-November, and I had my surgery in February. I was running, I was doing weights, I was doing yoga, I was just going for it. I went in that surgery feeling like on the top of the world. My diet was already very, very healthy. Um, I hadn't gone fully plant-based yet. I went on that year fully plant-based, and had a surgery, jumped back from surgery, and they said, like, look, 6 weeks, before you I can exercise. I had that little break of 6 weeks, and I went straight back into exercising again, running and walking and yoga and everything that I needed to do. But I want you to think about, if you close your eyes and you think about, and you just take a deep breath here, so you kind of ground yourself in your body, and just put your hand in your belly, and you just take a deep inhale and exhale. Remember to just fill up your belly, not your chest. Inhale and exhale. Now I want you to think about, tomorrow you wake up and you do your 10 minutes walk. Visualize yourself doing that walk and feeling good about yourself. And then you do it again the next day. And you feel so good and so proud of yourself. And then you do again the next day. And now fast forward a bit, like for a month, and you're still doing it and you're feeling so good that in actual fact it's easy for you to walk for 10 minutes. And you fast forward a bit more and it's 2 months. And you're loving this. You jump out of bed and you know exactly what you're doing. And you fast forward another 3 months and you're doing a bit more. You're doing 20 minutes walk now. And you love it. This is part of who you are now. And I want you to just sit with that thought and the feeling in your body. Feeling that you feel stronger, you feel healthier, you feel more motivated, you feel more mental clarity, you feel more certain. You feel that you are enough to take the time to doing this walk. You feel you deserve it. You feel that this is how you reward yourself. You walk every day. Now take another deep breath in and exhale. One more time, inhale and exhale. So I want you to really think that those habits that you're forming right now, if you keep doing them, they'll get easier and easier and easier and easier. And it's going to get more and more and more ingrained in you and more powerful you are. So by the time I had gone through that whole year of, treatment and surgeries and all of that, I was faced to the dilemma of going back to work. And at the time, I was going back to my corporate job. And I needed to think about how am I going to incorporate my exercise in my routine? Because I can't stop exercise. So then I knew the time that I needed to be at work and I needed to actually commute to work. And I thought, okay, I'll work back and I need to wake up an hour before and I need to do my exercise. Then, I have time to have my breakfast, have a shower and go to work. Now you're saying to yourself, but Angelica, I'm not a morning person. Neither do I. I wasn't a morning person. My son, who is 10 now, it was a baby who used to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I hated it. I hated every little bit of it. I used to ask God, why did you give me a kid that wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning? Why couldn't you have given me one that wakes up at 6? He was an early riser and he still is. And I could not believe it. I was like, I just can't comprehend. How can somebody wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning? I hate it. So I have never been a morning person. Before kids, I used to easily sleep until 12 o'clock on a Saturday and a Sunday if I could. And I did many times. This is who I was. So now you're thinking to yourself, when you talk about building discipline, this is how I build my discipline. My exercise was, the habit was already ingrained in me. Then I moved on to, okay, I'm going to wake up 1 hour earlier before, I had to be at work. Then after I got used to this, I thought, you know what, I want to do more because I like my meditation and, I want to take my time. I want to do more exercise. Then I started waking up an hour and a half earlier. Okay, so this, I stayed in here for a year. I stayed in this for about 6 months. And then I moved on to this one. Now, is it hard for me to wake up today, which I wake up now at 5 a.m.? Did I think when I was here during chemo, if you had told me, Angelica, you are going to have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning once you start working again to do everything that you need to do for yourself, I would have said, no way, I'm not doing that. Because I don't like waking up early. And there must be another way, right? I wouldn't have said, oh, yeah, I would love to do that. It was a gradual process, right? It was a gradual process and building brick by brick that I got where I am today. Do I jump out of bed today? Yes, I do. But this is 4 years on. And I'm not saying that it took me 4 years to get here, because since then, I've left my corporate job, so I work from home now. But I still wake up. I wake up at 5 o'clock because I've got my morning routine, and I like doing the things that I love my morning routine. In actual fact, and for me, it's the most precious time in the morning when I can dedicate fully all of that time to myself. That is for me self-love. That is for me enjoying life and treating myself and rewarding myself. Okay, so I started not being a morning person to becoming a morning person and being happy in being a morning person, being fulfilled and looking forward to it. People fail because they start here and they want to go here in 5 minutes. And that does not happen. You need to progressively build your discipline, build the momentum, build your beliefs and behaviors and actions. And they need to be constant. Consistency is key. So when people, I work with clients and they say to me, Angelica, but you're still doing all of these things that you're telling me to do? And I tell them, yeah, I still do all of them. And they go, oh my God, really? Yeah. I cannot go back to the person I was before cancer, because otherwise what I'm creating is the same environment as the cancer grew inside my body. This is what sickness is. Sickness is showing you that the environment that you have created inside your body is a diseased environment. And unless you do something different about it, you're just going to stay there. So it's very, very important that you build this step by step if you want to have consistency, if you want to have long-term results, if you want to really feel that these habits are part of who you are. Okay, so it's very important for you also to be targeted on the habit. Most people are overwhelmed and they fail because they want to build a business, build a six-pack and fix their relationships at the same time. Now, if you ask me, everything is down the drain. You can't fix all of it at the same time. You can fix maybe small problems, but big problems, they need focusing. And my health was a big problem because I had stage 3 bowel cancer. And if I didn't sort my health really in the right way, I wasn't going to be fixed. And this is why people have so much anxiety around cancer recurrence, because it's a real thing. Right? If I was eating cakes every day and not exercising and sleeping in and not going to bed on time and doing whatever I wanted, I can guarantee you I'll have anxiety around my checks. But I don't have anxiety around my checks because I've been building certainty inside of me for 4 years. I know what I am doing is working because I feel in my body. In actual fact, when I look at this, it's a progressive growth, and there isn't this tendency to come back because there is always this tendency to go up because I have the momentum going here, right? So the tendency, it's easy. It's just like when you start riding a bike and it's a bit wobbly, but once you start riding, you can ride faster and faster and faster. What people don't understand is that they, to solve big problems, they need to focus on the big problems. But if you focus on the big problems, you're going to have a much better result quicker than trying to do a trillion things at the same time. And then you can move on to the next one, the next one, the next one. And then before you know, there is this massive ripple effect on your life. And this is building discipline. Nobody was born, wanting to exercise and eat healthy and working 14 hours a day and being fulfilled and loving and caring. Everyone's got baggage. Everyone's gone through crap stuff in their past and they're carrying this baggage with them. It's up to us to make a decision to change how that baggage impacts our habits every single day. And the way that we treat our bodies these days is a massive problem. I was talking to my kids yesterday. They had a test from the government at school, and my daughter said, Mom, guess what? After the test, we all got Skittles and we went to play in the park. And I thought, really? Now we don't buy this stuff in my house. And I said, look, this is actually a real big problem because this is wiring you to think that reward comes in form of crap food. Well, that's not even food, sweets. And it's so ingrained in our society these days. This is why there's so many people that are overweight and obese and with problems with diabetes and chronic diseases. Because it's wired in ourselves that unless you are eating sugar and drinking alcohol and eating all this crap food that comes in packages, you're not living a life. This is what you need to do to really, feel good and feel happy and, and live a good life. But what if you started saying to, for me to feel good, for me to feel healthy, for me to, feel mentally stable and balanced, and for me to feel certain that I can succeed in my business, I need to feed my body with the right foods. I need to feed my mind with the right, information. I need to pay attention to my inner dialogue. What if you said to yourself that narrative instead of the narrative that it's actually is being sold to people as being the correct narrative? Guys, food companies are not going to stop producing crap food full of sugar, high fat, preservatives and additives and all of that. They're going to keep producing that because people keep buying it. 95% of the foods in the supermarket, apart from fruits and vegetables, are full of crap. It's up to you to make a decision what you put inside your body. And it goes back to that message of the first day. I am enough. Unless you start valuing yourself and valuing your body, valuing your life, and changing the ingrained behavior that you have inside your head. And I understand that sometimes it might be difficult because you haven't got that sense of self-worth yet ingrained in you. You haven't really connected with anything that, has scared you, like me, like the stage 3 bowel cancer, so, and sometimes, that drives us to change. But you need to look at your pain right now. What are the things in your life that you are living and feeling and being that you want to happy with? And if you think about it logically, if you start feeding your body with the right foods, if you start even doing that morning routine, starting your day with a walk on spot and with the right breakfast, with a glass of water, not looking at your phone, that is a form of saying, I love you to yourself. I am enough to yourself. And the more you do that, the more you start believing that you are enough, that you love yourself. Because the more you want to feel like that and want to do that. So all of it is very, very interconnected. And the physical helps us it really stay strong and ground ourselves in the strength of a physical body, because there's a lot of people that talk about all this stuff from the mind, and I think that's very important. But that 5D, and we're not living on this 3D and manifestation, all of that. But We need our bodies to live in this earth. And if you treat your body like crap, you're not going to be here for long, because the body keeps scores. If you don't treat your body right, you're gonna live the consequences of it. I know that because I lived through that. When I sat in the chemotherapy waiting room, most people were 60 and 70s. They looked at me thinking like, what the heck are you doing here? Apart from my shaved hair, I was 20 to 30 years younger than them. And I used to look at them and I used to think to myself, I don't want to end up like them. I have an opportunity here. I don't want to depend on medication when I'm 60 and 70. I don't want to take 10 minutes to get out of a chair when they call my name. I don't want to have all this stuff that they had in their skin and the way that they looked. There was a lady that she came in and, she came and said hello, said to me like, hey, she was about 50. Is that your first session? And, it wasn't my second or third. I was like, no, it's my second or third. She's like, oh, how'd you go? And I was like, oh, it's a little tough. I didn't want to scare her because it was bloody tough, my first session. And she's like, oh, it's my first, And, I said, oh, you're going to be okay. And, like you wanting to be encouraging. A month later, I saw her. She came in a wheelchair. She could not even talk. She could barely breathe. She was just like that in a wheelchair, and somebody was wheeling her. Now, the cancer hadn't done that to her, but the chemo has. And I'm not here to say I'm against chemo because I'll be a hypocrite, and I'm not. I am a pro chemo because I've done it, and I think there is times in life that you need to do it. But what I'm saying to you here is your health, your physical health, is the absolutely foundation of your success in life. Yesterday, I talked about on my post about physical freedom. If you haven't been sick like I have been, you don't know what physical freedom is. Physical freedom means you can get out of bed, you can have a shower, which I couldn't because I had my PICC line on. Physical freedom means you can go out for a run whenever you want. Physical freedom means I can go surfing with my kids. Physical freedom means you don't have to go to hospital. You can plan your life and do whatever you want in the weekends. Physical freedom means, you can just plan things and do whatever you want without thinking like, am I going to go to hospital tomorrow like I lived for 7.5 months? That is physical freedom. And I'm sorry, guys, but financial freedom cannot buy that. If all you're doing is focusing on creating a business while your body is in a state of chaos, you're going to get that, or you might get that, but you might not be able to buy yourself out of that. Just like Steve Jobs, 50, 40 years old, all the money in the world, but there was no way out. And he's no longer here. Would he have given all his money away? Probably. To live another 10 years, another 5 years, another 2 years? I would say so. When I was diagnosed with cancer, I used to pray to God every night, just give me another month, another 2 months, another 3 months, another 4 months, another 5 months. So my message today is strong because I have been there. I know exactly what it is not to know if you're going to live or die. And sometimes, I feel like for people that have had a heart attack, you don't have that opportunity, right? You have a heart attack and you die. I had that opportunity and I feel very blessed for it. When I was diagnosed with cancer, I could decide, do you want to stay stuck, be the same person, be angry, resentful, not forgiving your parents, thinking that you are right, thinking that everything that you're doing right, or do you want to change? Do you want to keep saying to yourself a bunch of lies like you've been saying to yourself, oh, I eat healthy, oh, I exercise when I can, when I didn't? I said, no, I've got to scrape everything out and I've got to start a new page. I've got to start a new book. I have to rub it off my whole board and I need to start a new board again. And that's what I did. And that's what you can do too. Creating new habits is this: we are what we do each day, regardless of what you know, regardless of the courses that you've done, regardless of all the information that you have. Unless you start taking action, things are not going to change. And that is the big lesson here. Putting one foot in front of the other. And when you get, hit your head against the wall, just think to yourself, okay, take a deep breath in. Remind yourself, I want to keep going forward. I want to let go of my old self. I want to let go of old habits that didn't serve me. And I want to move forward. What's the next step that I can take so I can go like this? What's the next realistic step that I can take? Guys, if all you did, it was the morning routine that we talked about here, and the emotional routine about, I am enough, letting go of the self-loathing, and building the discipline in small steps. And if all you did was that, and you didn't watch any of my videos, and you did that for 6 months, your life will be changed and will be a ton better. I know this. I absolutely can guarantee you, if all you did was that. But you've got to do it, because no one's going to do it for you. And the steps that I've given you here, they're small and they're doable, and they are very, very, very achievable. So don't let life get in the way, because life is always going to be in the way. Take action now if you want to change your life. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Tomorrow is going to be day 4. I cannot believe we're going to talk about another habit that it's going to be another game changer. As you can see, they're small, but they're going to make so much difference. I've taken you step by step what I did to build discipline around my morning routine. I didn't start where I am today. I start where I am teaching you how to start. So don't underestimate the power of small steps, small habit changes, because they are powerful. So tomorrow we're going to speak about another powerful step. Don't miss coming live. If you have any questions, please let me know. Remember, those videos are only going to be on until Sunday. They're going to be taken down, and this whole thing, the group is going to be closed. Take advantage. The reason why I do this is because I want to help people that want to be helped. I want to help people that want to be guided. Because people, unless they understand that they need to take action now and they start moving, they don't really change. I've seen that. I've worked with people now for almost 2 years. Unless people are making you accountable and give you deadlines and keeping on top of you, you don't make any changes. Okay, so this is why those videos are going to go. So take advantage, take action. And okay, so the homework today, I want you to choose one habit that you're going to build this. One habit that you're going to be building discipline in. What is the one thing that you're going to keep doing and chipping away over and over again? If you think about your whole life, it gets overwhelming. If you think about lots of different things, it gets overwhelming. Pick one habit, okay? Pick one thing that you're going to do. Now, guys, today I'm going to finish with another breathing exercise, which I should have done at the beginning, but I forgot, which is an alternate nostril breathing. Again, this comes from the yoga tradition, and is to balance our left side of the brain and our right side of the brain. Okay, the right side of the brain is the male energy, and the left side of the brain is the female energy. And a lot of us have this imbalance. Some of us have more male energy, some of us have more female energy. And balancing that, it's very, very important, because once we balance that, we become calmer and we activate the parasympathetic system. Okay, so we get away from the flight and fight mode, and we calm ourselves and we balance ourselves. You can do this in the morning, or you can do that before bedtime. So with your thumb, hold your right nostril and you're going to inhale through the left nostril and exhale through the left nostril on the count of 4, okay? Inhale and exhale. Inhale one more time and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Now closing your left nostril and you're going to do the same, but this time through your right nostril. Inhale through the right nostril and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Now coming back to center and one more time inhale through both nostrils. Hand on your belly, inhale and exhale. One more time, inhale and exhale. Hopefully you can feel a difference in your body, in your mind even. I can feel in my body. It's a really beautiful breathing exercise before bed or at the beginning of the day. Guys, thank you so much for being here. It's been amazing. I will see you tomorrow at the same time. Don't forget the homework. And if you have any questions, let me know. Take care.